Spring 2022. A quiet country road surrounded by dense trees in Washington County, Indiana. On the side of the highway among the young leaves sits an abandoned blue suitcase. On it is a colorful sign that says, "Welcome to Las Vegas." It seems too bright for this abandoned place, too provocative. A local approaches. He opens the suitcase and sees not clothes, not trash, the body of a child. The boy was 5 years old. He was dead, and no one knew who he was. The police give him a temporary name, Angel. No papers, no identifying marks. For weeks, America searches. Who is this child? Where are his parents? Why is no one looking for him? Meanwhile, his real home is not Indiana. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. His name was Cairo Jordan. When the name pops up in the database, Cairo Jordan, something especially painful squeezes in your chest, because now he is no longer just an unknown boy in a suitcase. Now he is a real child with his own short but important life, with dreams, albeit childish, with a voice that no one will ever hear again. Cairo was born in Atlanta, and if not for the terrible ending, none of us would know his name. He could grow up, play with cars, sing songs from his tablet, argue with his mother at dinner. He could start going to kindergarten, draw houses in the sun, be afraid of the dark. All these are simple, ordinary, but priceless moments that should have been part of his destiny. But they were taken away. A name is an anchor. It returns humanity when the body has already been devalued, when the story has turned into a headline. A name says he was someone's son, not just a victim, not just a subject of investigation, a person. But in Cairo's story, a name doesn't protect. It comes too late, when the body has already been found, when society has already fallen silent, when the media has already moved on to another story. The name has become a kind of retroactive prayer, an attempt to restore dignity to someone who can no longer defend it. And there is a particularly bitter truth in this. To be noticed, you must die. To have your name known, you must become a tragedy. As if a child's life is only valued after it is cut short. He was not a statistic. He was not a mistake in the system. He was a boy. His name was Cairo. And that is all you need to know to truly feel the pain of this story. Her name was Dejan Ludi Anderson. Her papers said she was her mother. Her photograph showed her as a smiling, well-groomed woman in her early 30s. But behind that face was more than just discord. Where there should have been affection, care, and maternal instinct, there was fear, paranoia, the conviction that her own son was an enemy. In her public accounts, she wrote things that today sound like nonsense. But back then, they went unnoticed. She called her children demonic entities, inhuman vessels, and claimed that her son was not her son, but something that had possessed him. She said that she was fighting a system of global evil and that the child was stealing her energy. Many passed by these words, perceiving them as internet eccentricity, but it was a clear cry for help, expressed in broken forms. Only no one stopped to hear it. Dejan had no therapist in her life, no social support, no family members who could intervene. All she had was the internet, where she shared her fears and rage every day. Gradually, this digital stream became darker, more anxious, more aggressive. What began as strange phrases eventually grew into a coherent but painful system of beliefs. For her, Cairo became not a child, but an enemy in a child's body. What happens in the mind of a mother who begins to see evil in her own child? This is not a moral issue. This is already the realm of pathology. The psyche cannot withstand. Defense mechanisms are distorted. What should have been love is transformed into irrational fear. And if you do not intervene at this moment, tragedy becomes only a matter of time. But there was no intervention. Not a single service invited her for an examination. Not a single post caused a reaction on social platforms. Not a single district police officer, not a single court saw before them a person who is truly dangerous for his own child. No one knows exactly when Cairo died. Experts believe it was a few days before the suitcase ended up in the woods. A medical examiner determined the cause of death was asphyxia. The boy had been strangled. There were no obvious signs of violence on his body, but that didn't make his death any less brutal. It wasn't a fit of rage, it was a decision, not alone. Anderson wasn't alone. She was with a woman named Dawn Elaine Coleman, her friend, possibly a follower of her ideas. It was Dawn who helped dispose of the body. She didn't strangle Cairo, but she knew he was dead. Together, they loaded the suitcase into a car and drove to Indiana. There, on a deserted road, they placed it among the trees and drove away. Dawn would later be arrested. She would testify. She would say that she didn't know how to stop her friend, but she didn't try. Arrests, chase, violent behavior. Social media is full of obscurantism, but not a single service, not a guardian, not a police, not a court, saw this as a threat. Not a single one asked the main question. What is happening to the child? How many warnings should there be to intervene? Why was a mother with a severe mental disorder able to remain unnoticed for so long? Why was every episode in her life viewed as an isolated incident and not as a disturbing pattern? Usually when we tell stories like these, there's at least a tiny bit of hope for justice, for punishment, for conclusions. That someone will be saved, that evil will be stopped. Here it's already happened. Everything that could have been done wasn't done. Cairo died long before anyone knew him. He disappeared in complete silence, and even his death didn't immediately attract attention. The child's body lay in a suitcase, abandoned in the middle of nature, while the world went on with its life. People walked by, sang in the car, argued in the supermarket, like posts. And nearby, behind the trees, lay a boy who no one was looking for. And then he was found, dead, alone, quietly without a cry. And society again does what it does best, mourns after the fact. We say, how awful. We are outraged in the comments. We make stories. But why didn't we hear before? Why didn't they stop? Anderson is missing. Dawn is detained. The suitcase is evidence. And Cairo is in the ground. The story is closed. For the police, it's a case. For us, it's a tragedy. For him, it's an ending he didn't choose. No funeral with his family. No, I love you before bed. No second chances. Cairo didn't just die at the hands of his mother. He died as a result of a long chain of inaction, fear, and indifference that became the norm. He died from silence that was too loud around him. This is case number 99. And it's not about demons. It's not about mysticism. It's not about a suitcase in the woods. It's about how the silence of adults kills children. How warning signs get drowned out in a stream of formalities. How madness passes by if it doesn't interfere with the system. Cairo Jordan was supposed to live, but he wasn't saved, and we must remember that.